Hello, hello, hello. This is Misty Magdalena Grace with the new and improved version of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, where we talk about spirituality, psychedelics, plant medicine, microdosing, and really that journey within to finding your best innate wisdom, to your best health, your best wealth through all sorts of inner child healing, trauma release, grief recovery, overcoming addictions, and working with the mind, the body, and spirit. So go ahead, leave a review, subscribe, download. We look forward to your feedback. Thanks for tuning in today. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is a special episode, as they all are lately, it seems. I'm Misty Magdalena Grace. As you heard, I'm the host of the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise show, which has been going for over 3.5 years now. We are a show that talks about everything in the spirituality realm, as well as plant medicines, shamanism, inner child healing. And today we're talking about a very specific topic that my partner, Emmanuel, who's here today, and my husband, we have been really talking a lot about and working with spiritual teachers, working through our own ascension process. And it's been really intense. It's been really challenging. And I've interviewed other people like Franco Romero. He was one of my teachers at the beginning, way back at the beginning of 2021. I started working with him and understanding what was going on, not outside in the world so much as it was inside of me. And now there's more and more people waking up. We call it remembering who you truly are, waking up to your truth. And why is this happening? What is this 5D ascension process all about? Well, my husband happens to be a channel, a medium. I'm going to let him explain more about what that is, what that means. And he's been getting some really amazing downloads and some information that I know when I heard it, I was like, dun, dun, dun. It like made so much sense why we've been going through so much challenges as a world, as a planet. You know, we have a war going on, we have economic strife and inflation, we have all sorts of intense things coming up with the election in the US, and there's just a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people have been experiencing health issues, financial issues, relationship issues. And here at Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, we like to be at the forefront of sharing information, and really we're not at the forefront of this topic. We've talked about it many times with special guests. But today, for the first time, I want to talk to my husband and have him share what he has shared with me privately, something that I think will potentially change your life. I don't know, maybe. And this is part 1 of 2 of what you want to know through his revelations, our revelations that we've also seen in our client base. This is not just something that we've come up with on our own. We're actually seeing it in our careers and helping our clients. And then how to best prepare, how to support your mind, your body, your spirit through this, and why should you care? So Emmanuel, maybe it'd be helpful if you first talk a little bit more about you. What is this channeling gift that you have, and maybe how it came to be? First, maybe there's people that have never listened to us before and heard your story before.
Awesome. Thanks, Magdalena. So channeling is a very interesting gift, if you want to call it that. It's something that came to me at the end of the year 2021, and even most strongly during the year 2022. And it was a result of me going inside myself and asking myself, what is my true nature? What is my true purpose here in this lifetime? So there are many definitions of what channeling is. My personal experience, and I think it's usually the best way to describe it, is from what I've experienced myself, not necessarily what I've heard people say or read in a book. It's a connection with the divine self within you. That's my definition of channeling, and receiving messages, like clear communications. Could be a conversation, could be visual, where you find your awareness no longer being part of this realm here, that common realm that we're part of, the regular world, if you want to call that. And your consciousness pretty much goes into a different dimension, a different realm, different vibration, different words to qualify that. But the truth is, you're no longer just here. Your awareness, at least, your conscious mind is not just here. It's also now aware of other of another dimension. And usually within that dimension, there are entities. Uh, Most of them, I do believe, at least the ones I work with, you know, are unconditionally loving, which means they are entity of very benign intentions, working very closely with the divine. I do believe that there is a divine force that holds everything and also has kind of uh, I would call them they, to keep it neutral. They have other like subversions of themselves working in concert with Source to help us human beings here truly understand the nature of our existence and really what's in store for us. What's the big plan? Where are we going? You know, why are we here? The big question. Well, they're there to help us answer that question. I do believe that we are not left without, any kind of guidance. And I'm not even talking about a religious guidance here. I'm talking about talking directly to the source through a personal experience, something of that nature. That's my definition of channeling. So I started channeling, as I said, late 2021 and early 2022. It became even stronger. Um, and I received messages from that in that manner from, I call them deities, if you want to use that word, or they're just divine entities, as I said. And it could be of different tradition. I've realized that many of them actually share common, what we call oversoul. It's like there's a common thread, and they can manifest in different forms at different times in history, in different cultural setting, but they are the same. At least they are individual ones. They have some kind of differentiations between them, but many of them share the same oversoul. So some of those um, oversouls have manifested here on Earth, and they've become what we call the ascended masters. The example, the very common, will be Jesus, will be Lord Krishna, could be uh, Buddha, could be Muhammad, could be Mother Mary, Jesus's mother, could be Mary Magdalene, um, who was, I believe, Jesus's companion and spouse, and others from different traditions have saints, which I believe are just um, divine consciousness deciding to take a human form to teach something to humanity at a time that's critical for them, for humanity to receive that teaching. So these are the people I work with. And I had a very interesting encounter with one of them that actually caused me to die. That's how powerful the encounter was. And that was in late 2021. So I was going through my process of opening myself up to my spiritual gifts, to the understanding of my own purpose here. Um, and I was approached by a divine entity one weekend. All happened over a weekend. And it was a female deity, very kind, very loving. Um, and I didn't know who she was. I had the presence. I even heard the voice, and I was like, okay, who's here? I was in my home when that happened. Um, and I had already thankfully started being coached by somebody who knew that things like that were happening to me. So they gave me a little bit of a playbook, if you want, to deal with situations like that. So I started asking that entity who she was. And I didn't hear directly a response. So the guidance that I was given was to list, to go through a particular website that has a list of deities of kind, unconditionally loving deities, and just ask if it is this one, this one, this one, or this one. I think it was number 2 or 3 because the name starts with the letter A. So it was one of the top ones. Her name was Ashira. And I had never heard of Ashira before. Though I'm from the Judeo-Christian tradition, she's a biblical figure from ancient Israel, like very, very beginning of the nation of Israel. Actually was more commonly known, I do believe, possibly in Egyptian traditions, as well as the Canaan. If you remember in the Bible, they talk about Canaan. It's like this land that was there before Israel was created, the nation of Israel was created, and she was their goddess. And they recognize her as the mother goddess or the just nature goddess, the one who created us all. That's how they refer to her. So she approached me, and I identified. I said, "Is it you?" And she said, "Yes." And then I remember that weekend I had a very. I'm not gonna go into the ritual that I did with Magdalena at the beach to kind of confirm, kind of that it was her, but it was beautiful. Everything we experienced was like so aligned with the guidance that I had received. And then that Sunday, we went to the beach. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. And then that Sunday, I went to sleep and I died in my sleep. What happened to me when I do believe, my body stopped breathing, and my life force was pretty much getting out of me. It was at night. There was nothing real that would have predicted some such a thing. I went to bed normally, like Delena was sleeping right next to me, but I know I died because I found myself on the other side. Wherever you go when you die, and I get there, and true as it says, there's a lot of light, there's a lot of love, like an unfathomable amount of love and support. And I'm like, what is this place? And then boom, now I have a full visual of the Shira, the goddess who had visited me a couple of days before, standing right there and saying, well, this is the afterlife. You're welcome to stay. And then enjoy whatever the afterlife has to offer, which is eternal bliss and things of that nature. Or if you want to do more on planet Earth, you're free. I'll let you go back. I'm not gonna. I'll give you a chance to go back and continue to experience more of human life. And it's that moment that I realized that, oh crap, actually I'm dead. So I'm like, okay, I had a very short moment of reflection within myself. And I was like, oh, I want to go back. I want to be with my family. I have a wife, I have kids. And with it, whatever this transformation that I've started, I don't think I'm really deep into it. I'm glad I got offered a pass to heaven. That's pretty, most people will be like, yeah, my life is complete. I'm in heaven. I might as well stay there. But for me, there was a part of me that was like, but it's not complete. I have more service to offer. I have more healing to do with myself and others. So there is a call to service that, and also my love and allegiance to my family, my spouse and my children, that made me choose to go back. And I said, please, I want to go back. Can you let me go back? And she said, sure, you can go back. We'll continue our relationship from that standpoint. And I see myself like dropping out of wherever heaven is into my physical body, and then having the biggest gasp of air because I was starting to breathe again because I had stopped breathing. I don't know for how long. And I realized what had just happened to me. And Magdalena was still sleeping. Thank God she didn't witness any of that. But I looked at her and I considered for a moment what had just happened. I'm like, good goddess, good, instead of good God, good goddess, what just happened to me? And that was the beginning, one really big step for me to really understand starting to understand the big picture of what was going on. So there were two amazing phenomena that happened. First of all, the big guy who introduced me to heaven was not a guy, he was a woman. It was a female, it was a goddess, not a god. And second, yes, there is an afterlife that is filled with bliss and all the things that we've been told through folklore and magical stories, as well as some of the spiritual teaching. Yes, there is an afterlife of eternal bliss. I had experienced it for the shortest time, but for me, it was no longer a hypothesis. It was a reality. So I'll stop there and maybe give Magdalena a chance to interject and maybe talk more about the difference between 3D and 5D if that's the right time.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was going to. Thank you so much. And I just want to acknowledge, I know we have people watching. So if you, someone just hit the like button. So if you want to share, you don't have to. If you want to stay anonymous, we do invite people on our lives, especially to comment below, hashtag live. And of course, if you're watching this on the replay, hashtag replay. We do like to honor people with questions. If you feel called and you want to ask questions during this live show, we will potentially answer them. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about the 5D transition and the revelations that we've experience as a couple. And then, of course, what we've seen with our clients and going, this is part one of 2-part episodes. And then we also have a webinar coming up in March, because we feel like the time is now to talk about this at a deeper level. We've been working through it ourselves as we were waking up to our truth. My husband waking up and realizing his gifts, me waking up and realizing gifts. And we do a lot with shadow work, because the more the light comes in through this age of Aquarius transition, and by the end of the year, we will be fully in the age of Aquarius, coming out of the Piscean age, to kind of, segue after what you said about, most of the world has known patriarchy, and most of the world has known, quote unquote, a motherless world, as, from the spiritual is they focus more on the he, or the God, right? And so part of this awakening process into the age of Aquarius and the 5D is saying, hey guys, there's a hell of a lot more to the story than you've ever been told and believed. And so we're breaking that down now, talking about this 3-dimensional construct and plane that we've been, for lack of a better word, I'm just going to say it, a little controversial, but we've been lied to about the truth of our abilities. We believe, my husband and I, and we teach this to our clients, that we are both fully human and fully divine. We all have psychic gifts and abilities and powers that, we're not saying we're ascended masters per se, but you do have the ability to essentially become one if you are ready and willing and able, and do the proper shadow work and the proper healing to ascend to that 5th dimension realm. And so 3D is what we're used to seeing, paying your bills on time, having a job, having this security, having more of an ego mind, whereas like ascending to the 5D and the new earth, if you want to call it that, some people just call it simply the age of Aquarius. You're leaving all of that suffering behind. 3D is more about suffering. It is more about the trauma. It is more about the war. It is more about politics. It is more about money and financial systems and institutions, whereas the 5D is more about ascending to those other dimensions that my husband is talking about, being able to connect from the heart, as opposed to the ego and the head and the quote unquote analytical mind. And the only way out to that is through, so through your trauma healing, through your shadow work, forgiveness, compassion, love. One of the goddesses that we've worked with is right behind me here. Am I pointing in the right direction? Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion. All of these deities that he's talking about actually is the divine mother coming back and saying, hey guys, you are both feminine and masculine. You've been created that way. We all have feminine and masculine brains. The patriarchy in this 3D realm, though, has been overly masculine dominant now for about 4,000 years, give or take. Again, we're not astrologers. We're merely channels of information that we've received, specifically my husband, because his gift is shamanic in nature, meaning he can tap into other dimensions just by closing his eyes. And not today, but maybe on the next, podcast you can channel, and maybe we can talk to one of those deities. We'll, if not on this podcast, we'll do it on the webinar. So you're going to want to sign up for that and get some live coaching and some live understanding of what that looks like in real time. But that's the difference between the 3D. The 3D is about the money and the tangible, whereas the 5D is about love, ascension, and you don't just get there just by sitting around waiting for it to happen either. So Manuel, I don't know if I've maybe teed up a little bit more for you to shed some light on what you've seen and what you've heard through your channeling abilities.
So thanks, Magdalena. This is a perfect segue. So so my channeling in the past, I would say 5 days or so, I've received some amazing affirmation and revelations, if you want to call it that. And this is very interesting. All those revelation affirmation came out of shadow work that I've been doing intensively, like going back into very traumatic aspects of my life. And because I was finally able to go deeper into my own healing of my own trauma so I could liberate or free more energy to receive bigger, more dramatic light. The process did what it was meant to do. I was able to become more spacious, more light came. It means that light coming, more information was exchanged with me. So I'm going to go back again to the importance of the goddess. There is both a divine masculine and divine feminine in all of creation. You cannot split them. They are always there. But there are times where one is more dominant than the other. And the 3D experience that our world has had in recent millenniums was more masculine dominated, with a lot of the feminine energy being repressed. I do believe that the fact that it was a goddess, divine feminine, who made contact with me was important, because it's the time of that transition where the divine feminine energy is going to become so much more present. It's actually going to be at the same equal footing as the divine masculine. But because there's been such a legacy of putting her behind, she's going to have to be leading to get us into this age of Aquarius. So the 5D world we're going into is a world where a lot of the divine feminine energy are going to be the most crucial for us to ascend. And it's precisely through that process of embracing the divine feminine qualities and attributes, so things like love, compassion, forgiveness, innovation, creativity, care, the softer things, intuition, those softer, sometimes, people call them, these are like girly stuff, right? Well, precisely. We're going to have to get a lot of girly stuff into ourselves, both men and women, to be able to ascend, because it's those attributes that are going to help us elevate our vibration. When we were in this world of 3D, it's almost as if we were incredibly dense. Like everything is made out of light. By the way, this is physics. If people don't believe me, go and search it. You'll understand that it's light everywhere. And light is energy, and energy is matter. Albert Einstein, equivalent, demonstrated that. So matter is just energy condensed. It's condensed energy, condensed light creates matter, which is the world that we are experiencing. It's a very material, very solid, because we're at a low vibration.
You could also say our bodies are essentially 3D too. I want to just clarify, because what we're talking about, guys, is when I first heard it, I was like, what? I didn't understand the way back 3 years ago. So I just wanted to add in all the other examples that maybe could be more tangible for those of us who aren't into physics.
Yes. Our body's physical body, anything that's material, is 3D. That's what we call 3D. It's the material, heavy density energy spectrum. And there are other energy spectrums that are infinite energy level. That's how you go to the divine, is infinite energy level, something we cannot even begin to imagine in this form. So as we bring in those very powerful divine feminine qualities, they have this great benefit of raising our vibration. It means that there are parts of us that do exist in realms that are not material. Think about your thoughts. Have you been able to weight your thoughts, right? No, your thoughts have no weight. They're energy. They're electricity or light moving around. It's at a different level of vibration. Wow, go beyond that. Your emotions, same thing. Go beyond that. You have astral bodies too. All of these other parts of you that begin to touch those other realms that are at a much higher vibration can expand significantly if you nurture those divine feminine qualities. It's a weird thing, but that's how it works. Those divine feminine qualities have a direct implication of raising your vibration. And as you raise your vibration, your consciousness becomes now aware of all these other realms. Like wherever I was at the doorsteps of heaven with the goddess Ashira is something that's accessible to most people if your vibration goes high enough. My vibration was above the material because my body pretty much had died at that point. So my consciousness was operating at a different level of vibration. I was still aware and conscious as an entity, but no longer driven by the laws of my body limitations. So my consciousness continued above and beyond the boundaries of my physical body. And there are plenty of realms out there that are like that are not constrained by the high density of matter that we experience here. And this is where we're going. I know it may seem scary because you're like, what the heck, where are we going? But think about this. Every time you have had these moments of transcendence in your life, either it was an incredibly powerful emotional moment that you felt something within you that you're like, what is this? It was transcendental. It was beyond words to express it. That's where we're going. It's that realm that is filled with all kinds of treasure, countless treasures that we can only fathom. That's where we are going. And there will be a time where we will still be in this physical body, but also have the ability to have our awareness touch those other. It doesn't mean everybody's going to have to die to go to 5D. That's not the plan. You can still have a physical body, but your awareness or your consciousness is going to be so heightened. Your vibration is going to be so heightened that now you're going to be able to tap into those realms and have conversations with the ascended masters as if they're your buddies and you've always been together since the day you were born, and even possibly at some point having conversation with the divine creators themselves. That's the plan for us. That's what we were meant to do, and that's where we're trying to go back to.
Yeah, it's what we would call heaven on earth, or the kingdom of heaven lies within. You don't have to do plant medicine. You don't have to die. However, some of us, do have ego deaths, and some of us have had to purge a lot of physical stuff from our central nervous system. Our chakras have been blocked since in utero with lower vibrational energies. We believe we incarnated on this planet at this time to be the ancestor to heal the stuff from our ancestors, right? That they couldn't heal because they were all in a patriarchy dominated society that was, again, a motherless church, focusing on, the masculine dominant energies of war, killing, control, power, greed, all of that kind of, we call it masculine wound inside of our circle, inside of our training or teaching with our clients. We all were born with a mom and a dad, whether you knew them or not. You still had their energy. You had their DNA, their cells, their blood in your body, and most of us have those mother father wounds that we're here now to heal and to cleanse and to purge. However, energetically, maybe physically, depending on how you're choosing to heal right now. Because if you don't, guess what? The light that's coming in from these other dimensions and realms to help us is forcing us through anxiety, maybe depression, maybe fatigue. Full disclosure, the past few days I've been exhausted because the light that is coming in is trying to heal me and to cleanse. Thankfully, I've done a lot of other things like yoga, breath work, plant medicine, microdosing, combo frog medicine that actually helps me physically purge the stuck block density that he was talking about earlier. It's got to go somewhere. So if you're not actively pursuing this stuff, it could be more painful. It could be a near-death experience. It could be a dis-ease. All of these things we've seen with clients and friends, unfortunately. And so that's why we're talking about this now more openly, to help you understand the importance of healing the mother-father wound, the religion patriarchy wound. I call religion and patriarchy kind of one and the same, because a lot of what the church did was shut down and suppress the woman, right? Shut down and suppress the feminine side of things. I mean, Mary Magdalene, different reports say different things. She hid in a cave for decades because they wanted to kill her, right? They wanted to suppress her. The Gnostic Gospels were hidden, with many, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, a lot of these women stories and witches burned at the stake. It all came about because, and I think this is the time for you to tell what you've found out and what the awakening is about at a different level, different than astrology, different than a lot of 5D people that I've heard and followed, different from the people who are channeling aliens and talking about this is the end of times and the aliens are coming to help us out, right? I have there's threads in all of that that I still believe and I still agree with. But I feel like what you're about to share, it might be a bombshell for a fair amount of people out there. It might not be. Maybe you
Yeah.
already are in that vibration. But when my husband shared this with me the other day, I was like, oh, 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 thank goddess. Really, like as a woman who's suppressed herself, been a good girl and, looking for the man, the savior outside of me for so long and so, many lifetimes as well. And as a child, being a woman entrepreneur, there's this whole glass ceiling thing. Women have been subjected to so much punishment, and as have men too. But when you tell this story,
Yeah.
hold on to your horses, guys, because this just made me feel like, oh, it all makes sense now. And this ascension makes even more sense because I can actually get behind it even more now based on what you're channeling.
Okay. So what's the great news? What's the the bombshell? Well, guess what? This world that we live in, this universe that we are, and I'm not just talking about the Earth, I'm talking about the entire whole wide universe that we know with all the galaxies and all that stuff, was created by the divine feminine exclusively. She did it without the consent of the great creators, source. It was her contribution to creation.
She was a rebel also. We got
She
to
was
put
a
that out
rebel.
there.
Yes, she was a rebel. She did it without the consent, or at least the direct, unbiased blessings. Maybe underneath there was a blessing from the great creators, but she did it because she felt compelled to do so. She created this world that we're living. This entire universe was created by divine feminine energy. It's her creation. This earth is her realm. She owns it. She created every single molecule, every particle that you can think of that are part of this great universe that science is discovering was created by her. She infused her being, her essence into this universe. That gives you an idea of how powerful she is. And she is still moving around, So she didn't give everything she has. She gives some of her, and that created this whole wild universe. So we are the children of the divine feminine energy. Now, of course, the divine feminine energy does have some divine masculine too within her because it's all balance. That's how she was created by the source. It had both, she had, a masculine and a feminine, but she was more of a feminine kind of vibration than a masculine. So we got some of the masculine, right, when she created us. But initially, we were really supposed to be the poster child of all the beautiful things that the feminine energy can do. Surely enough, even in heaven, there are politics. Because she did what she did without the consent of some of the other more masculine essences of the creators, there was a little bit of wow, she's a rebel. She's going on and doing things on her own without talking to us. And unfortunately, as she created us, right, us humans and all the other aliens that are roaming the universe, she created all of us without exception. Okay, there's not a single race, alien or human, who has not been created by that divine feminine energy. As we were experiencing what life was, it was a new kind of life. It was, separate now, a little bit denser from the divine and the celestial realms, who were pristine and untouched and pretty blissful still. And when she created us, the game changed. She created things like polarities, dualities, oppositions at a denser level. Oppositions exist even in the higher realm. That's why you have male and female, right? Yin and yang. That's normal. There's always some kind of opposition, but it's in balance, right? In those realms, it's all balance. There's no imbalance. Unfortunately, when she created our realm, there was an imbalance that existed, and initially it was more on the feminine side. So the ancient civilizations were incredibly on the feminine energy, divine feminine side. And when the masculine energies discovered what the divine feminine had done, they wanted to play with it. I was like, oh wow, okay, she's doing something different. Let's go check it out and see what we can do. And because we were at such a lower level of vibration than those entities, right, who are much, much, much more evolved than us, we were a little bit more susceptible to a lot of the things of that some of those energies represented, right? And that's where some of the dark and shadowy aspects of life began to grow. It was because we didn't have yet the balance of the two. So when when the masculine dominant came in, it put us completely off balance, and we didn't really know how to balance things out. So the masculine energy started polluting our minds because we had minds. Minds only exist close to this realm. When you go to the high celestial level, except the mind of God, which I don't even want to try to describe it, it's beyond any understanding. But the mind that we understand here in the human form is incredibly influential. And those entities played with that mind to create things like, narcissism and hatred and selfishness, some of the more darker emotions. We were, if you want, victim, but not necessarily victim. We were at a stage of our evolution where we were not really quite prepared yet to handle that. So there was an incredible amount of time that went by when the masculine, darker, less pleasant aspects of the divine masculine took over. They took over society and civilization. And that's when all the primitive civilization that were mostly feminine started dying off. And that dying off of those civilizations or those cultures make its way through just about everywhere on Earth. And some of the stories in the back, and maybe the next episode will go into some of the precise example, because there are so many of them that demonstrate precisely that process of suppression of the feminine energy in the spiritual traditions of the world. That we'll talk about in the next. But
can I give an example really quick though? Okay. Just so people understand the story, like the whole Adam and Eve and Lilith story. We're going to talk about that on the next episode. And some people, I want to delineate something, a difference, that this is maybe how my brain works. We talk about wounded feminine, wounded masculine. There is a dark feminine and a dark masculine. Those are different. Also, so what we're talking about, the density, the wounds that have been inflicted upon us from the church, from the patriarchy, the narcissism, the bullying, the taking advantage of people, the suffering. Those are the wounds that the divine feminine now is coming in to help heal. And when you shine a light on a shadow, right? When you have your flashlight and you see the darkness, sometimes there's dirt and there's muck and you gotta clean it up. But at first they don't want to be cleaned up. there's this battle. That's why there's more war. There's more suffering. There's more anxiety. There's people who are leaning heavily on their addictions and their afflictions because they're fighting against this 3D breakup, if you will.
Exactly. Yes.
And so to layman's terms, because it took me at least 2 years to really understand this and understand, why do I feel like I want to kill people? I mean, why do I feel so angry and I have all this rage? And it was because the light and the feminine that's coming in is trying to bring out those wounds. But then as that happens, then you have war.
Yeah.
Then you have Republicans and Democrats going like, I'm right, you're wrong, and getting even more heated. And quite honestly, I'm just going to say it, more stupid. Like there's no love and compassion when you're coming from ego and trying to defend the patriarchy and trying to hold on. Right? Either you get with it and you heal yourself and love and compassion, or you might die, you might not ascend. I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities on how this might end for those who aren't really coming from a place of healing and love and compassion. So I hope that helps and doesn't make more confusion. It's why we talk about shadow work. It's why we talk about the importance of healing and forgiveness, and forgiving your mother or your father, or forgiving that person, whoever, or the IRS for, screwing you over. All of the things that we have to, these constructs that we have to deal with in the 3D, they're actually not real. They're just mirrors of our wounds, scarcity, lack, anger, resentment, holding grudges, whatever you want to label it, the language doesn't matter. It's all the same shit that is coming up for letting
Yep.
go of.
Yep.
So I'm going to go back to you, but I just wanted to give a little bit more of those examples of how those different religion wounds and those stories that we'll talk about more in the next time really caused a lot of damage and a lot of suffering, and we're healing it now. However you're choosing to heal it, it's happening for you if you're not even actively trying to heal it, but it can cause more pain and suffering. It's got to get worse before it gets better.
Absolutely. It does have to get worse before it gets better. And it's unfortunate that it works that way, but that's the only way to free those things from our existence, from yourself, because you got to, the work starts within you. You know, we look outside the world and we see a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, and we have empathy, of course. And we want, how can we change that? How can we change? No, you change yourself. Be the change that you want to see in the world. That's the message that I received also in my channeling. The instruction was within myself now with the even more involved, passionate presence of the Divine Mother. And it is a Divine Mother, you're going to have to get around that, who is helping us go back to the whole heavenly realms connection. It's her. She's working over time. Surely enough, she has allies still. It's not like she's doing it by herself. She's got allies also in the heavenly realms. The archangels and all those and other deities are working alongside her, but she's the main responsible divine entity for our realm. It's her. We are her responsibility, and her love is unconditional. It's passionate to a level that we're still going to have to understand. It's beyond our understanding. She's not going to give us on any one of us, because she wants us to go back to the balanced experience that she knows we're capable of. And that was the reason of our creation in the first place. But as Magdalena says, the only way to it is through it. You have to go through all those shadows, have to be seen, acknowledged, recognized before they can be, let go of. And it's a painful and it's sometimes a very difficult and very scary process, but it's the only way. There is no other way. That's how you're going to build those qualities that I was talking about of love, compassion, forgiveness, empathy. They're all going to come from you looking at yourself, finding the shadows that you hold, clearing them. And as you clear them, those qualities are going to build up within you. And as you build up those qualities, all the light is going to start now flowing much better through you. And before you know it, you're going to be also having all kinds of conversations with divine entities, not knowing where the hell they came from. They were there this entire time. You just were not ready to hear or see them.
Yeah, we were born with amnesia. We forgot all this stuff, and we unfortunately we're so used to all of the rules of the 3D realm. Like, for example, I'll use myself as an example, and maybe throw out a couple client examples, and then maybe you can do this too, Emmanuel. I'll invite you in on this. I had business failures, and because I lost everything and was homeless and filed bankruptcy, I judged myself accordingly and felt like I was worthless and a piece of crap. Right. And so, guess what? In the past few months, I have no problem sharing this because shame has been wiped away from my body. I'm not saying that I'm done, but I would be mortified to admit my bank account has been in the negative almost every week. And I realized the divine forced that issue into my life so that I could not give a shit and not think, oh my God, my bank account is my worth. My bank account is my value. Like I am not enough unless I have a bunch of money in the bank. That was my construct that the 3D realm beat into my head because of childhood, but also ancestral trauma. So I won't go into all of it because it's way too much to take in right now, but that was a limiting belief, a not enoughness that I had to face. Same thing in a lot of my clients. I see that a lot of women think, oh my God, if I don't have a partner, I'm not enough by myself. I even went through that codependency thing because, again, we've been brainwashed. If you don't have a partner, if you don't get a job, you don't have a mortgage, all of these 3D things, I'm not worthy or I'm not enough. And I didn't really understand that until I started doing the shadow work and started understanding that that was all the wounded masculine, the patriarchy constructs that are going away. And so
Mhm.
now, after working through all of that, I have so much more natural bliss, so much more joy, so much more self-love and compassion and authenticity. That I don't care about sharing these things now because I'm not hiding anything. Like before, I'd be like wearing all these masks and thinking I needed to be perfect. I needed to be a good girl. And honestly, a lot of that has been shed, and we help our clients do the same, coming back to self-love, compassion. You are enough, you are worthy. You just got to go inside to hold yourself and forgive yourself and let go of the ego and the constructs, and knowing that we are not alone. We have so much support from the divine realm and the wise and healed ancestors. They're all here, the aliens, if you believe in that. They're all here cheering us on, saying, we got you, Mother Earth has got you. We just gotta like let all of the veils and the constructs start to go away. But that's really, really hard. And so I used to microdose for 18 months straight. Now I don't microdose anymore. I used to, sit with a lot of plant medicine. I don't need to do that anymore because I found that kingdom of heaven within, that higher vibration energy within. And now I can recreate that on my own. And that's what we know the 5D is about, is not using all these other tools and things. They can help you for a time to get you where you need to be so that you can have the faith and confidence in yourself. But it requires purging, cleansing, releasing somatically your central nervous system, your chakras, all of that mind, body, spirit work that we've talked a lot about, to help you get to that place of ascension so that you can have all the light and just feel amazing. So, do you want to add to that before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said, through personal experience, like those revelations that I've been talking about, those conversations with the divine and our divine mother, thank goddess, came because I did the hard work on myself. I had some childhood traumas that were like decades old, and because I finally were in a place in my life where I was ready to take the deep dive into myself, to go into those scary places. And I found the help and the assistance of people who know how to do that. And I had the support, of course, of all my guides and master guides from the divine realms to take me there. And every time I do the right work for me, I see immediately the consequence. Like now, I have those revelations about the origin of our existence, who really created us, came to me because somehow I think I needed to be able to receive it. I had to let go of something inside of me, very likely related to childhood traumas and feelings of abandonment and possibly abuse left and right, to be able to receive that light, to receive that truth. And that truth liberates. I was able to liberate myself by confronting my own shadow and holding myself. And as I did that, it welcomed this, yeah, this river of blessings from the divine, saying, oh, now you can handle more truth about this. You can hold it, and maybe you can start integrating that into your life and possibly helping others. Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know if anybody has any questions before we close out. We wanted to open up the conversation, understanding that everything is perfect. Everything in our life was created by the Divine Mother. The patriarchy, the masculine, came in and was trying to say, well, screw you. I'm going to have my cake and eat it too, and I'm going to control you and lord over you. And there was this whole karmic path that we chose to be alive at this time, to come in and to heal ourselves, to love ourselves, and to let go of all that control, power, greed, patriarchal BS, for lack of a better term. It's just to get to that, you can't just sit there with your head in the sand and just wait for it to be over. You actually got to be loving yourself, healing yourself, however you do that. There's so many beautiful modalities out there, but it's all about returning to love, and it does require some heavy lifting and some rebalancing of the feminine and masculine within. We're still all about the feminine and masculine balance that we all possess, whether you're non-binary, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. We have those energies. Those energies have different archetypes or landscapes, and you need to have both of them. If you're way too feminine, you're just kind of like sitting out there, just like not taking action, right? Or if you're like I was way too masculine, wounded, dominant. I was just go, 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 do, push, push, push. And I was exhausted, right? And so finding that balance of taking action, being humble, kind, all of that, and being able to also be open and receptive, intuitive, creative, not overly logical and analytical all the time. We're coming back into balance with that as a planet. And then the collaboration, when your egos are gone, you're more open to collaborate. Not saying that your ego is going to be completely gone. Who really knows? We don't know for sure, but it's more about love and compassion and coming together and not judging one another or saying I'm right, you're wrong. That's not what this new age is all about. So it's going to take some work to figure out how to work through this, but this year, next year, some say till 2027, we're going to be rewriting the story. We get that opportunity. Religion's going to go away. There's going to be so much shifting and changing. It's a really exciting time, but it can also be scary, and that's why we wanted to openly talk about this today. Do you want to close with anything else?
No, I think we we covered quite a lot. That's why we have a part two. I'm looking forward to giving you even more examples.
Yes, yes. So next time we'll be talking about more of that origin story. Again, we use Adam and Eve as an example, but there's so many different origin stories. Again, this isn't about religious. This is about the ascension, the transition, and what we're evolving into as we head into the age of Aquarius. And if you want to put this on your calendar right now, we'll close with this on March the 20th. We're going to be sharing a webinar with some training of how to go within and really do some of the basic steps of shadow work and how to know when you're triggered. As an example, if you're feeling anxiety or depression or fear or anger, it's usually a sign that that is your shadow, your subconscious, your unconscious mind, whatever you call it. I prefer calling it shadow now. Is trying to get your attention. It's wanting you to heal something. And then once you heal that, then you have more light in you, and then you're almost not completely like a newborn baby, but you're like a newer version of yourself. The snake skin is being shed, and now you gotta not like a newborn baby learning how to crawl and walk again, but in some ways it's similar to that, where you're now able to have more gifts, possibly like my husband, you're channeling, or someone's all of a sudden hearing voices or seeing things. That's kind of scary. How do you protect yourself? How do you stay grounded and present within yourself without maybe driving off the road or leaving your body? We'll talk about that. My husband's got all sorts of stories. And how do you work through those traumas and navigate it with as much ease and grace as possible, so you don't cause a dis-ease or a health issue, or you don't cause a disaster in your life that maybe is way more painful than it needs to be. So how do you navigate that over the next 2 to 3 years? We're going to be talking about that on that webinar, March 20th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. It is a Wednesday, so Wednesday, March 20th at 5 p.m. Pacific. Save the date, and I will be putting that registration link in the show notes so that you guys can be a part of that. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to even just book a call with either one of us. We have that on the website, or you can text 612-799-8791 and reach out to us to book a consultation if any of this resonated with you. If it didn't, and you're like, these people are weird, please unsubscribe. I won't be offended. We understand this is high level stuff, and maybe you've heard it from many different camps, and you're curious, and maybe you're a friend, a colleague, an acquaintance. We've talked before. Maybe you've been a past client and you want to have a private conversation about this. Feel free to reach out. So until next time, guys, here's to your best health in this ascension process. Here's to your best wealth, whatever that means for you in this ascension process. But most importantly, it's about going within and finding that best wisdom and that wisdom within is what we're all seeking for now, so that we can heal our lives, collaborate better in this new world, and ascend all together. All right. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, download, leave a 5-star rating or review, and also please refer this to a friend you know who may benefit from this inspirational message. We hope to see you again. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or join my Facebook community. And if you are looking to manifest your best health, your best wealth by trusting your best wisdom within, please go to my website, www.microdosingforhealth.com. Again, www.microdosingforhealth.com, to quiet your mind, get into your heart, heal your body, and manifest your best health.